talk with the Dallas Cowboys this offseason has been the players they don't have, right? Three-time Pro Bowl wideout Des Bryant, released. 11-time Pro Bowl tight end Jason Witten, retired. Someone for Dak Prescott to throw the ball to, not signed yet. But how about the players they do have? Well, that's Ezekiel Elliot.
Yes, I really think this year is going to be a referendum on Ezekiel Elliott. His first year he did marvelous, had 1,800 yards rushing and led the Cowboys, to a really good to a good year into the playoffs where they lost to Green Bay. But this and last year, last year coming into this year, he was suspended. He would have had another great season, but he got suspended, and it was largely of his doing. So this year he has to keep everything together. He has to mentally be ready to go, and they're going to really need him because he's going to have to help Dak Prescott because the league caught up to Dak Prescott this year. That first year he had a really good year, largely due to the running game of Ezekiel Elliott. You could see when he went out that he struggled without Ezekiel Elliott, and his offensive line was injured, had some injuries on the offensive line. So, but like I said, I don't think the pressure is on Ezekiel Elliott. I just think he's going to do what he always does and what he naturally does. The running back position is not like the quarterback position. You just give him the ball and he just runs to the open hole or make some moves to get around the defense. But playing quarterback is a little bit more complex. Dak Prescott has to show some new wrinkles in his game. He has to be able to complete open passes. He has to be able to throw guys open. Like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. I'm not saying to that level, but he has to do that. And he has to stay poised and be able to kind of help these young receivers that they got coming in, help them grow.
Zeke took the league by storm 2 seasons ago, but was suspended for 6 games last year. Jerry Jones thinks the lack of distractions will actually help.
I think that not having to address that mentally and physically, not having to think about not only the inner.
Yeah, last year was a cloud not only over Ezekiel Elliott's head, but it was a cloud over the Dallas Cowboys. You can tell that they were unable to really focus because they didn't know from week to week what Ezekiel Elliott was going to be there. When he finally got the 6-game suspension, and Dallas mentally I think went in the hole, and then Des Bryant didn't make it no better because he had a down year. A lot of guys across the board had a down year. I'm not gonna just put it on Des Bryant, but he was one of the main cogs. It was him, Ezekiel Elliott, and Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott took a step back. Ezekiel Elliott wasn't there to perform, and Des Bryant was there, but he didn't perform.
Corruption of the actual potential suspension and then suspension, but just the physical interruption of the physical aspect of that. So yes, I think that I give him a big arrow as to what his performance might be without the.
Well, no doubt he's going to have a big arrow for Dallas to do anything. Do I think Dallas can make the playoffs? I believe they can still make the playoffs, but it hinges on the offensive line, Dak Prescott, and Ezekiel Elliott, and their defense being at least average.
Overhang of the issue that he faced last year.
We spend so much time talking about Dez and Witten, so let's focus on Ezekiel Elliott now because
Witten retiring. I know they got a talented tight end behind him, but him in the locker room with his veteran leadership is going to be big in that locker room because that locker room was fractured last year, and they're going to miss a guy like Witten mainly. They're going to miss him on the field, but they're going to miss him mainly in that locker room.
A lot of that offense is going to run through him. How great does he have to be for the Cowboys to be successful, CC?
Oh, he's a great player. He's a great player. And Jerry Jones makes some good points as far as Zeke, what he's been through the last year and a half. We've been talking about Zeke since he came into the league as if he's been in the league 5 or 6 years. But Zeke's 22 years old, turns 23 this summer. And he's one of the best players in the league. He's the best player on the Dallas Cowboys. All right, so it's important for him to have a spectacular season. And the way the team is built with having a great
Yeah, what Chris Carter said is true. Is if Ezekiel Elliott have a great year like he did his first year, it will open up the passing game. It will allow Dak Prescott. It will take some pressure off of Dak Prescott that they can, they can, put they will have to put 8 in the box to stop Ezekiel. It will allow him to have his receivers one on one and allow the middle to be open somewhat, so Dak Prescott can make plays with his leg as well as his arm.
Line. No, they need Zeke to play like an NFL quarterback would play. We have a saying around the league that a good quarterback wins you about 4 to 6 games. The great quarterbacks, they win you about 8 games a year, just having them under center. We have a great tailback like Zeke. He can tip that.
And Dak Prescott is not at that level yet where he can win 8 games. Can he win 3, 2, 3, 4? He should be at that level in this stage of his career. But he's not at the level where he can win 8. That's why Ezekiel Elliott is very important in the offensive line staying healthy, and that defense at least playing at an average level. They have to at least be in the middle of the road as far as ranking in defense.
Yeah, he can win you 4 to 6 games. He's that kind of good. Also,
because I just think the Eagles are the class of the division, no doubt. But Washington and the Giants, those teams are behind Dallas. So Dallas have a great chance of making the playoffs.
I believe that they might be able to give him spelling just a little break. A sleeper pick. Dallas drafted Bo Scarborough in the 7th round out of Alabama. Now, he's a tremendous athlete, runs downhill, and I believe with Dallas' style, that offensive line, these 2 running backs, I believe Zeke runs for 1,500 yards this year. I expect Zeke to have a spectacular year, and he is...
Yeah, I give Ezekiel Elliott about 1,500, between 1,200 and 1,500 yards. And about 10 touchdowns. I mean, he should have that. He should, with his talent, he should get that. He should get that, and he should get that relatively. I'm not gonna say easy, but he should get that with no problem.
Is beyond the investigation. He's beyond the.
Especially running behind that potential healthy offensive line, which when they're healthy, it's the best offensive line in the league.
He's been in the league now a couple years. I expect to see the best Zeke that we've seen on the football field.
Listen, they need him to be exactly that. See, when we list the quarterbacks in the NFC, and
I agree, they do. I agree with Nick right there. They need him to be great.
Where Dak is in that hierarchy. When we list the teams in the NFC and where the Cowboys are in that hierarchy. When we list the wide receivers and tight ends, skill position guys in the NFC, and where the Cowboys fall in that hierarchy. They need, if they are going to be a double-digit win team, if they're going to compete for the playoffs, Ezekiel Elliott, in my eyes, needs to be in the MVP discussion, similar to how Todd Gurley was last year. When he had 1,631 yards, almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage his rookie season, and that was without playing in Week 17, and that was with being ineffective in Week 1. So that is really 14 weeks of high-level production, and over in 16 touchdowns in that stretch. That's the type of season he needs to have, maybe even a little bit better. If Zeke Elliott has 14...
That Todd Gurley is a monster. Todd Gurley is a monster for the Rams. The Rams are going to be real good this year, too.
1,500 yards rushing.
The NFC is log jammed with really good teams. Atlanta Falcons, you got Philly, of course, who won the Super Bowl. You got the Rams, who emerged. You got the 49ers, who can possibly emerge. You got the Bears, that had a top 10 defense last year that went out in the draft and in free agency and addressed the offense. You got Green Bay. You got Minnesota. Oh, you got a lot of teams. You got the Saints. You got a lot of teams. So Dallas going to have to be on their A game to get in the playoffs.
I don't know if the Cowboys can find their way to 10 wins because I don't know where they're going to get the other requisite offense needed. Like 1,400 yards would lead the NFL in rushing. I think the burden on him is greater than the burden on any running back in the NFL as far as.
But I'll let them go on. But yes, Ezekiel Elliott this year he should have a similar. He needs to have a similar year like his first year. The offensive line needs to stay healthy. Dak Prescott needs to take a step forward. And, the defense needs to play comparable. The defense has to play at least average. They can play above average, that'll be good too. But they have to at least be average and they have to at least be consistent. But Ezekiel Elliott should bounce back. He's a great player. He's a great running back. But he has to stay away from the nonsense, man. Just stay away from the nonsense. It's time to grow up. You're in the NFL. It's time to be a man. I know you're a young man. I know you're still learning. But you should learn a lot from last year. If you don't learn from last year, you never will learn. And that's the thing about Ezekiel Elliott. The wild card with him is, can he stay focused and can he stay out of trouble off the field? But I'm out. Subscribe to the channel, y'all. I'm out.